Hello.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Saturday, February 15th.
February 15th.
Yes, it's post Valentine's Day, as some people say.
Valentine's.
Our microphones are working today.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yes.
Last time they were not.
They were not. And the Super Bowl happened since we were last here. And Josh and I were watching it from we were in Atlanta.
An undisclosed location.
Yes.
Yes.
Embassy Suites. And we went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
That's a tongue twister.
Ruth's Chris.
Yes.
But
most people say Ruth Chris.
I know, but it's Ruth's Chris.
Like Nordstrom's.
It's not Nordstrom's. It was Chris Steakhouse in New Orleans. And Ruth bought it. And she changed the name to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Because it was Chris Steakhouse, and now it's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Anyway, neither here nor there. So we're watching the Super Bowl, and we're watching, was it Brian Burkhardt and Tom Brady?
Yes.
And we were making fun of the fact that they'll talk to each other, then they'll look at the camera. While they're talking. Like, you have to do that.
You do. You have to look at the camera, address the audience, and then look to Dan.
Yeah.
Camera.
So
Dan.
I want to start today's topic off talking about, so part of our trip, I had a work trip because Cox Automotive's headquarters are in Atlanta. And I was there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for work. Josh flew in on Friday. And on Saturday, we spent the day driving around Georgia, going to locations that they filmed the TV show Stranger Things. Because it's one of his favorite shows. He just watched all 4 seasons again because the 5th season's coming out in November.
Yeah.
So we went to the little town where they shot it. That's supposed to be Hawkins, Indiana. And we went to the mall that they used. And while we're at the mall, I'm gonna play this video.
Oh, you've got it on deck.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
We're driving in the rental car. And this is, I'm sorry, I didn't get a really good shot. And by the way, I got a Buick. It's my rental car. It's really nice.
Oh, the SUV?
Nice. Yeah, little SUV. Look at, this is the parking lot of the mall.
Wow, look at all these Teslas.
There's a Tesla dealership there.
Oh, this must be their off storage.
No. I mean, this is the off storage for this one dealership.
Good grief, that's a lot of cars.
And then a bunch of Cybertrucks. But I mean, there were 8 rows in this abandoned mall.
Really?
Filled with Model Y and Cybertrucks.
Holy cow.
I mean, and I was commenting, but for some reason there's no audio, but we were talking the whole time, like, holy shit.
That's a lot of cars. Do you think these are cars that are sold that are waiting for delivery?
No. Wow. Tesla lies. I told the story before. When I picked mine up in 2013, there was a warehouse full of them in Seattle.
Wow.
And the guy was, I'm like, why are all these cars here? Oh, look, there's a Honda. Why are all these cars here? And he's like, shh.
No one's supposed to know that we actually have a lot of cars.
I'm like, when did my car get here? And he's like 2 months ago.
Wow.
Like, my car had been there. And they just slowed the deliveries to make it look, it was all fake.
Wow.
So not only are all these here, then as we're driving away, we find the actual dealership. They have a 5-car parking garage at the Tesla dealership.
Wow.
Filled with Teslas.
Filled with cars.
The entire top row, it's like, oh, those are garbage dumpsters. No, that's the back of a Cybertruck.
How would you be sure from that distance? It could be garbage dumpsters.
No, as we got closer,
you were able to determine.
We're able to look, and this is
wow. That's a lot of cars.
Filled with cars.
Wow. And this is in Georgia, you said?
This is in Georgia. This is a suburb of Atlanta. This is not even like.
I wonder if that's a hub for them.
I looked it up. This is just one of their dealerships.
Wow. That is a lot of cars.
They have a ton, and there's a ton apparently here in Seattle. They're for lack of a better word, they're full of shit.
Well, they are. Their sales are
way off.
Yeah.
And it's because of their CEO. And Hold on. How about now?
How about now?
We probably have a
let me
bunch of
test it.
comments. Good morning, nice Packard. Sound is good. All right, that was weird.
All right, there.
Oh, it might have been when I did the video.
That could be.
Yeah, because we have sound now. That's weird.
Okay.
So we might have missed everything we said.
We had valuable items to discuss. You were talking about Dick Wag.
Dick Wag.
From General Motors.
Right. So you had the three major CEOs coming to Congress trying to get the bailout.
Right.
08, 09, and they flew on private jets.
Yeah.
So the next time they came by, they like shared a Chevy Malibu hybrid and they drove from Detroit. And all three of them, I believe, lost their jobs very soon thereafter. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, if any of them did what Elon's doing from a political standpoint, and what he's done with, the Nazi salute and the takeover of, and he's not paying attention. If they even worked on another job, like it's a conflict of interest, first off, but nonetheless, so Teslas are not bad cars. It's just I know so many people that are just, I want to get rid of mine. I can't wait. I'm going to hand it off.
Just like Fords aren't bad cars. When Ford was making the Model T and moving into making the Model A, and then the 32 Ford with the V8, these were enormously important automobiles in terms of establishing major manufacturing value and all that for America. Yet he was an outspoken anti-Semite and a Hitler supporter.
Yeah.
And all that, eventually he realized he was wrong. All that went away after the Second World War, and the company had to re-establish themselves without any of that as part of their history.
Yeah. And now Hitler was a big fan of Henry Ford too.
Well,
because he loved the whole assembly line idea. And we do have some comments. First off, sound is good, yada, yada. Jacob says, good morning. Bob Moss says, nice Packard. I guess we'll be talking about that in a bit.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes, auction stuff with newer cars, not just Teslas. Brand new Gladiators, $32K. My best friend flew to Idaho 2 years ago to buy one for $41K, and that was cheap then. Chrysler's in the shitter. That's a technical term. I'm seeing lots of posts of people vandalizing Cybertrucks for political reasons. Yeah, I don't condone that. Like, we have a friend here on the island who owns a Cybertruck, and he and his daughter were at Safeway, and they were yelled at and called Nazis the other day.
Oh, that's
for driving a Cybertruck. Now, he's a Tesla fan back when, Elon used to be cool. The left used to love Elon. He was going to save the planet. He was all about solar. He was all about space and the future of the planet.
Look, what's happening with his leadership is he has to, in order for him to appear relevant in this new sector, he's got to do the things that he's doing so that he's publishable, he's viewable, he's accessible, he's all of these ridiculous things now that are part of being seen every 15 seconds. But if you just separate him from the vehicles themselves are actually well built. Now, the Cybertruck has a lot of problems.
It was rushed.
It was not a properly put together automobile, independent of the design aspects of it. But the cars themselves, you have to. The cars are apolitical. The cars don't have an opinion. The cars themselves are not anti-Semitic. The cars themselves are not causing all of this bombast and problem.
Right. And people that buy them are not either.
Correct.
Now, the Cybertruck has gotten kind of the, the MAGA bro reputation because they've embraced it for some reason. They're not great trucks, although apparently the government just gave a $400 billion contract to build bulletproof versions of the Cybertruck, which was supposed to already be bulletproof, but it's not. And yeah, people, if you're vandalizing an actual Tesla, that's stupid because that's a person that owns it.
Well, it's also vandalism.
And that's vandalism.
Just independent.
I was going to say, if you're going to go protest at Tesla headquarters, not vandalizing, mind you, but if you want to go protest, do it for the corporation, not for the individuals that already own the car.
Right.
Like I do a joke now in my act about my not these, but my other ones that are Sean John brand, which turns out I didn't know when I bought them. That's P. Diddy's company. That was P. Diddy's brand. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to get rid of them. Well, no, That's dumb. I already spent the money on them. Why would I get rid of them? They're nice glasses.
Yeah.
And he had nothing to do with it. Somebody licensed the Sean John name. He wasn't sitting there going, I'm going to design glasses for Dan Rosenberg to wear. Didn't happen. So, yeah. But in Tesla's software is fantastic.
Yeah.
The car's build quality does have a little to be desired. Most people that I know that have a Tesla that ride in my Polestar say, if your Polestar had Tesla software, it would be the perfect car. And that's another thing I want to talk about real quick is software, because people are pissed that Google,
it's pronounced Jugal, by the way.
Jugal, thank you. Hard G, Google. Tony over here. Google has changed on the maps the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. So
have they really?
They have. And I've seen, because an official government entity has changed it. So it is officially the Gulf of America. Like, we have nothing we can do about it, even though it's been the Gulf of Mexico since before America existed. And it's spelled Golf. That's what people don't realize. He thought it was golfing.
No,
it's not. But that would be funny. But
oh my goodness.
There are people that have posted on Facebook, that's it, I'm done with Google.
Oh, wow,
you can't be done with Google.
No.
Like, I would have to get rid of my car my whole car is run on Android Auto and Google. Like, I can say, hey, Google, in my car, make it 65 degrees or 60. It's all even numbers.
Look, let's get to the chase. We'll cut to the chase on this. If you have an issue with the political climate, state your politics to the people that will actually get that information. Write to your congressman, write to the White House. Protest, as Dan said, protest with groups of people in front of the corporations so that there's visibility on your opinion with this stuff. But vandalizing the vehicles, to some extent, boycotting would work. But
if you already bought it, you're not hurting anybody but yourself. That's the problem. Now, Jake makes a good point. If you buy one, you support a Nazi. Yes. If you
now go out
yes,
and buy one, Jake
yes,
is correct. That if you now make the commitment to go buy one, you're actually endorsing with knowledge that that is the case.
Yes. Or if you go to Kanye West's website that he promoted during the Super Bowl, and he's selling swastika t-shirts. And he's paid like $8 million for that ad. Anyway, what does Ray Pepper say? If you guys notice, the big home builders in America, D.R. Horton and Lennar, have tanked 40% in the last year. Is this a housing show all of a sudden? I should have read this first. People don't have money for the high car prices and saying home prices. People are tapped out and it's not getting better. No, prices are going up. Mr. President promised price would go down the day he took office, and now they don't have a timeline.
Is hair dictator, not Mr. President. And the
hair dictator?
The reality is that all prices have been going up, and they're only going to go further up because we're in a situation that first off, tariffs historically have produced this problem.
Yes,
they've never been beneficial in any respect.
No.
So
only if it's equal playing field. That's the only time tariffs can work. If we can produce a product for $1 and China can produce it for $1, and we want it to be built in America, we put a 25% tariff on Chinese products, so they're more expensive. American products now cheaper. The problem is American products are $5, Chinese are $1. So you'd have to bring them all the way up to $5.50 to make people buy American, and now we're paying 5 times as much.
Yeah.
It makes 0 sense. And
when it comes to automobiles,
yes,
automobiles are becoming more expensive, and people are realizing that rather than spending, as you and I many times advise people, rather than spending $50,000 or $60,000 on a brand new car, you're better off getting a slightly used one for oftentimes 45 to 50% the cost.
Or lease.
Yes. Now, it wouldn't be a big deal if we were talking about the difference between a $10,000 car and an $8,500 car. But we're talking about the difference of $25,000 to $30,000 on an automobile. That's a lot of money. Now, many people say, well, I'm buying an electric car, I'm going to have the savings. Well, you can go a long way on $30,000 worth of gas.
Yeah. And John Liebling, our good friend out driving around, says, tariffs result in higher prices. Now you tell me, damn, too late to change my vote. Yeah, that's half the country.
Well, that's
many products are just no longer produced locally. Imported widgets are the only option. Yeah, you can't produce
a
lot of things.
And
anymore for the price that we're used to paying.
And why do we have such a high level of dependency on China? It's not. There's two really critical elements in that for the manufacturing sector in China. Number one, they have a continuously repeatable cycle of literally millions of young people that are trying to get out of rural China into the city so that they can come in, work in the factories, and make enough money.
$1 a day.
Yeah. So you have that. It's an enormous. The second thing is that Chinese children are taught two very important things when they're 2 years old. They eat using precision instruments. They eat with chopsticks, and it's very difficult to pick up tiny little bits with these two sticks. So they get that dexterity at a very young age.
I feel a joke coming on.
No. The second thing is that they do their 2,000 character alphabet with calligraphic brushwork, and they have to do it precisely. So they learn artistry and precision at age 2. Meanwhile, American kids don't even do cursive anymore. And so because they have that, and because all of them are taught that universally in government-supported education, they learn that. And so when they come to the factories, they don't have to be trained to be artfully precise. It's already built into who they are to have that. And so when it comes to American manufacturing, we used to have that. We used to have that level of elegance in our education system. We used to teach science and making. We had industrial shops where kids would make things and understand how to build things, and kids that were good at that went and got apprenticeships to work in tooling and tool and die and manufacturing and all of that. That's how we got to be leaders at what we were doing.
Yeah. How many factories do we have now that can make USB drives?
Yeah, well,
right. Those are all made in China.
Yeah, and they're not only made in China, they're better at it now because they refined those processes.
There are guys on TikTok that show Chinese cars.
Yeah.
And they're amazing cars.
Yeah, they are.
They're brands we've never heard of.
Yep.
Some of them are knockoffs. One looks exactly like the Ford Bronco, but it's better.
Well, they just followed Toyota's mindset. Toyota, when they first started manufacturing automobiles for the American market in the late 50s, early 60s, they bring cars into their U.S. cars, German cars.
Take them apart.
They bring them into their factory. They would take them apart, and everybody on the build group, every team member got a separate section of the vehicle so that they could all understand exactly how to do that. Then they were tasked with building the duplicate. So they would build a duplicate of that car so they could figure out exactly how they needed to do it. And then they would go and start designing their own cars.
With chopsticks. Well, they're sitting the whole time, moving the parts around.
It's a cultural example of why.
And we, of course, our Department of Education is not going to be led by the wife of the guy that started the WWF.
Well,
which became the WWE.
And that type of background is so important.
And they want to get rid of the Department. They're like, we want to get rid of it. That's their whole goal, is to say we don't need a Department of Education, and we don't need anyway. We're getting too political.
Well, and it all comes down to automobile manufacturing, because automobiles are extremely complex. They become more and more complicated. It's one thing to design and build a computer. A laptop will sit in your home where it's safe. It doesn't. It's not subject to the elements. It doesn't vibrate at all sorts of different rates. It doesn't have temperature cycles. The automobile has to be a computer now, and it has to be able to withstand vibration, noise, all these variations in weather. It's an extreme environment for precision electronics.
Yeah, and one of the things that came up is there's a $7,500 credit when you buy an electric car. And it's limited. If you buy it, you have to make under like $150,000 a year. The car has to be under a certain price. But what's happening now is there are a legislator that wants to, this is the Trump administration, and there's a Republican, I'm trying to see if I can find the name, John Barrasso from Wyoming, he's putting up an act, the Eliminating Lavish Incentives to Electric Vehicles, Elite Act, it's called, introduced by Senator John Barrasso. Not only will it end the $7,500 tax credit, it'll add a $1,000 fee. So now electric cars will be $1,000 federal tax on top for every electric car. So no more credit, $1,000. Now I don't think this will pass both House and Senate because there's probably too many Republicans that are being lobbied by the car manufacturers, and Elon won't let that happen. Well, his car sales will end if they don't get the $7,500.
Well, look, what's this congressman's name from Wyoming?
Schmucky Schmuckface.
Okay, so
John Barrasso.
So this is what's happening now in our politics. People have to be so extreme and so ridiculous. We've never heard of this congressman, right? He's a congressman in Wyoming. Okay, so now all of a sudden he's got an enormous talking point.
Right.
So this is what's happening now.
Well, here's the sad thing. It's Senate Bill 541, co-sponsored by Senate Majority Leader John Thune, in addition to 13 other Republican senators, also backed by the American fuel and petrochemical manufacturers.
What a surprise.
And then Elon Musk said, and this is so stupid, take away subsidies will only help Tesla. No, you can't. Those cars, no one's going to buy a Tesla when it's back to $60,000. And they can't get the lease for $299 because they're $7,500. Although he has so much money, he could just give them away.
This is why no talk show can avoid politics today.
I know.
Because it's insidious. It's seeping into everything. It's even corrupting our automobile focus. Now, let's look at our comments and we'll try and stay on task here. By the way, Dan Lundquist is right.
Old school tricks still work for stuck starter solenoid.
That's right. Tap, tap, tap. And I just the other day told a friend of mine to do that, and it worked. He couldn't get his car started. He said, it's been sitting a while. He said, get a hammer, go out and tap on the solenoid. Boom, Dan, it started.
There we go. We do have a couple of interesting cars on Bring a Trailer.
Yes, we do.
That Mr. Raffi here is involved in.
Yeah.
And what's fun is when I type in Raffi, you would think it would just take me right to you. Oops.
Nope. It sort of did.
It takes me to one. You wrote more than one story and 83 users. And I have to go all the way down to find Raffi.
Oh, there's a Raffi D.
A Raffi SH, a Raffi KS, a Raffi Zero.
They're trying to run on my.
Yeah, people want to, share your excitement. Now, this one's kind of cool.
Yeah, this is a great vehicle.
It's a one owner 2001 Toyota Land Cruiser, the UJC 100 model.
That's the V8. The big V8. This will tow anything. It's got a tow hitch on it. It's hard to believe this is a 25-year-old car because it's in great condition. It's not perfect. It's got a little bit of things, but it's got 144,000 miles. By the way, I think the record for miles on a Land Cruiser is now over 500,000. And leather interior, sunroof, CD stereo, running boards, bug deflector. It's got all the goodies that you'd want for something like this. And really, Titan, put together one owner, medical professional, surgeon, and families enjoyed it. Enjoyed using the seats, which are removable, so you can have that area of cargo, or you can set those seats up, and they're also leather covered. So you've got two in front. You can put three in there in the middle row, and then you can get as many as three in the back if you have to. So that's a 7-passenger vehicle, which is surprising. A great looking car. These are continued popular today on the roads. And
the 2001, if I'm not mistaken, is when they started getting really, like the 98 and earlier was good, but 99 and 2000 for some reason, when we would see them go through Copart, when I was with Copart, those were not the ones people wanted to pay all the money for.
Oh,
but
interesting.
Once it got a little newer.
But look at the interior. Carpets are in great shape. Doors are in great shape.
How's the ashtray?
The seats, leather on the seats in great condition. Of course, the driver's seat is a little shinier and has a little bit more wear. That's typical. Bolster wear, they say. but it's a great car, no reserves. So whatever the final bid is, that's what it'll sell for. And I'm meeting a fellow later today at the ferry terminal, and he wants to see it in person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, my question also would be, what is the, I love when you just click on that, it automatically brings it up. Classic.com is just stealing this from.
Yeah, they do that. They show it.
So one sold last for $24,000.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, with 111,000 miles.
Yeah.
One sold for 16.5 with 144. That looks just like, almost the same.
Yeah.
And that's in Maryland, so that's got some rust probably.
Possibly, yeah.
And here's another one.
Yeah. It's going to be somewhere between 14 and 18.
I'm going to say 14.7.
14.7. There you go.
All right.
But great car for somebody who's looking for something like this. And, if you go to buy a new one, this is yet another example. This thing will do another 150,000 miles, no problem.
This one won't do 150,000 miles.
Look at that car. This is one of the most beautiful automobiles ever built. Packard made gorgeous automobiles. This is in 1934. This is a Super 8 series on the long wheelbase platform. Guess what the wheelbase is, Dan?
147.
There you go.
Wow.
147-inch wheelbase.
Look at these little seats.
These are jump seats. And what I'd like to point out is this is also a 7-passenger vehicle, just like the Toyota Land Cruiser.
But not a V8.
That is an inline 8.
Wow,
straight
so 8.
Super 8 was an inline 8. And look, interesting to note, this Packard was built in 1935, even though it was in 1934. And the reason why is because there was a tremendous amount of difficulty selling vehicles like this during the Great Depression. Now, this is a 5-owner vehicle. The original first owner.
We didn't switch to the page.
There you go. The first owner was a woman who most likely had a chauffeur. And this was the chauffeur's car, and he would take her wherever she needed to go. It was delivered in Pennsylvania, so she was a wealthy Pennsylvania, probably Old Wealth Pennsylvanian.
Carnegie or a Mellon, maybe?
Entirely possible she was part of that family. But look at the interior. Beautiful cloth and burl walnut. And so you could see how the driver in this section, even though it's not a separated chauffeur's compartment, the driver would be up front, passengers would be in the back. And
well, wouldn't that be in all cars?
Well,
driver would be up front, passengers in the back.
Except it's a little bit more separated in this car because you've got the space.
I was thinking general.
Yes.
Unless somebody's sitting beside you.
Yeah. So you can see the space in the back.
That's a sofa.
Yeah. So you have your jump seats.
Oh, they come out of there.
Yeah. They fold out. That's how they call them, jump seats. You can pull them, jump right in.
That was Raffi's hand.
Fantastic automobile.
Wow.
Now, this car has a reserve. It's beautifully restored. This is a first prize winning car, and so it's eligible for senior class judging as well.
That is, I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Let's go to this one instead.
And this one does this one has a reserve.
Are we anywhere close to the reserve? I know you don't want to say what the reserve is.
I can't say. But I do believe that at the rate this is,
it'll get there.
That it will get there. Yeah. It's a beautifully done. The restoration is.
This dairyman says it's so nice. The only thing I can nitpick about is the reproduction plate on the firewall. The fact that it didn't get sold until spring of 35, the 35 models were out for over 6 months already, shows that it was a leftover from the previous year. It must have been hard to move this kind of luxury during the Depression.
Yeah.
So the plates are reproduction?
So, and that's not uncommon. When you have a full and complete restoration, oftentimes the plate would be dirtied and maybe even soiled, or various fluids may have.
But that was the date on the original as well.
That is the date on the original.
So they were still manufacturing 34s and 35s were out?
It was a 34 that they delivered in 35.
So they put the date on of when they sold it. Oh yeah, because it says Jones. Okay, so that's not the VIN.
Yeah.
Got it.
And there's the judges' sheets. So they did all the deductions for various minor things, and 96.5 out of 100. So this is a rare car because it's a long wheelbase Super 8. And according to Packard historians, they think that fewer than a dozen were built. And the Packard registry has 6 known today. And this is one of 3 that are fully restored.
Wow.
So it's a very, very nice car. And for somebody who wants to do vintage driving events, this thing is just loaded with class. Plus, you got plenty of room for your friends and family. Come on board.
Now, the question I have is, we don't have one. There's not one listed right now.
Oh, your Volkswagen.
Let me pull this up for everybody. So we do have a car we're going to try to get rid of at some point.
Well, we shouldn't use that term, get rid of. Should we now?
Sell. Which looks exactly like this car.
Oh, it does. Yeah. It's black.
Black on black, 95.
That's blue, actually.
Oh, that one's blue. Blue, black, 95. Oh, with beige leather. So it's not even close to black on black. It's the exact opposite. But it is a 5-speed.
But this one's in really nice shape.
Yeah, it only has 19,000 miles on it.
Wow. And it didn't sell. It bid to 8150. So
yeah.
For as nice as that car is, it
so I think I think 7,900. I might be asking too much for mine.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I think the time of year worked against them. Yes.
Yeah.
Reserve not met. Now they talk about the spec. What I was curious about was, I think this is the last year. If they didn't say this we're in the middle of a major renovation. All our cars are parked in a number of different locations. I'll have someone go pick up this car and bring it back to our main location. So this is a dealer selling it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe my mistake on the top. It was manual. Yeah, it is manual. Manual top. You have paint meter readings, and the MQ3 is known to rust the rocker panel. It's probably a quiet listing. I guess it happens when the gallery shows it all. Yeah, it is a quiet listing, and it is the time of year. No one's buying a convertible.
Yeah, you're entering winter
in October.
Yeah,
but the thing about this car, if I'm not mistaken, though, this was the last year that the American market had a German-built Cabrio. The rest were built in Mexico from 96 on. And I don't think it says anything about that here.
Well, I don't know that makes that much of a difference to people. Do you think it would?
Don't you think built in Germany versus built in Mexico, a German car built in Germany is worth more?
I think it would be to people like you and me that understand what that means. But I think the majority of people who buy it in the best case scenario, it's going to be a $10,000 car. And this is obviously a second car, would be zing around town for fun. And so I think most people wouldn't care. It's like saying this car was delivered in Germany. The owner came and did the tourist delivery and then took it over to Nürburgring and was allowed to take a lap at Nürburgring, which is a pretty big freaking deal. But who's going to care?
Yeah.
This is a nice car. It's not, it says it's a 19,000 mile car, but looking at it,
it looks a little rough.
It looks a little rough. And I think that's what hurt it. It's not, also the photos are not helping this car at all.
I mean, that's car been repainted. That is, I can see orange peel.
Yeah, that looks like
that is not factory.
Yeah, and this, again, not a perfect car, but I think the bidding reflects whoever wants a really nice one. This car is probably $2,500 to $3,000 worth of detailing away from being a $10,000 car. Look at the brake rotors. Come on, go back to that. Come on, folks, step up, go a couple and just take those wheels off and get the rust off your rotors. It's not that hard to do.
Paint the calipers.
Yeah, just get in there and give it a little bit more love.
Yeah.
That's just.
No, we have the same wheels on ours. We have brand new tires on ours.
Nice. But I think that car is probably, I think yours, I'm going to say probably 5,800.
I would take it.
Yeah.
Somebody wants it. Sitting in storage right now.
Seats look in great shape.
Yeah, seats in ours. The black seats are very good. 19,000 miles.
Yeah.
Ours has 92,000, which is still great for a 95.
Yes, it is. Low miles.
This may be my daily driver in the, it's got an air guide. And the radio does not work in ours either. Oh, look, see, this has the same thing. The foam coming through.
Yeah, I guess that's a common thing.
Look at that. Like I took as much as out as possible. And
you can get in there with tweezers and pluck it out bit by bit, chunk by chunk.
5-speed, we adjusted a few things. The 5-speed works beautifully now. We haven't done a show with this car yet, have we?
No, the weather has not been.
No, once the weather's nice, we will do this car.
And what will we not do with it?
Go through the car wash. Although ours has a brand new roof, and it also has
brand new top.
Yeah. Let's go to comments. See if we have any new comments.
All right.
Oh, we have one from Ray. Update: Gig Harbor one owner 2006 Ford cop car sold at Mannheim for $3,500. Wow. Replaced it with a 2010 Police Interceptor.
With a V8.
So you got rid of one,
and you got another one.
And Ray, you did give me a car of the week that I did want to bring up.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah, I'll bring that up. So let's we'll play the little bumper here for the car of the week.
All right,
caught me drinking my green tea.
It's just iced tea.
I know, or is it?
Oh, man.
So what do we have here? Well, here, let me make sure it's not. Yeah, we can do it that way.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure it's not showing any, private or personal information. Here's Ray's car of the week. Now, there's something special about this. You ready?
Okay. Oh, look at that.
It's got a full exterminator type kit in the back.
Was it for an exterminator? Or
I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
Ray, what is all this? So all this equipment comes with it.
Big rollout hose so you can spray. Well, that's a nice rig.
Yes, and Ray said, because he texted this to me earlier.
Looks like it's had some touch-up paint work, maybe. Yeah, unless that's. And this is looks like it's a work level trim for a truck.
Yeah, so this is a 2015 Tacoma. 170,000 miles.
That's just broken in.
It is the SR5 pre-runner.
That's nice.
So it's not just the base.
So you get a little back seat.
Yeah, and it has. If you have a pest problem, I have the answer. So I guess it might have been an exterminator. It might. I think it might say something.
Could be.
Let us know, Ray. Give us more info on it. But he's got a good price on it.
What's he asking?
What would you think?
A great price would be $8,500.
Oh, it's a little more than that, but yes.
But I think it's more like 12 to 14.
12.5.
Yeah.
12.5 plus tax and license, and this could be yours, including all the stuff that you could start a business where you're spraying things on people.
Yeah. But you can use that for things like if you have a roofing company, or you do moss application, demoss stuff on the roofs and things like that. Trucks like this have a lot of value to people that work in home care businesses and things like that. You probably set that up to do pressure washing, various other things.
You could just be a mobile detailer.
You could do that. It looks like it's got a compressor and some sort of a chemical distribution tank canister in there. That's the compressor,
right.
And that's the thing that I think operates. I think it's probably just an air compressor.
That's the tank, and that's the compressor, right?
Right, but you need a tank to store the air. It's compressing the air, and it has storage.
Well, I thought this is where the liquid goes in.
No,
whatever you're spraying.
You might be right, but unless the compressor is a smaller, most compressors have a tank,
right?
So that you have some accumulated, so that you can run off that, and then as the compressed air starts to deplete, the pump pumps it up, fills it.
See, it's just because it has the little water-looking thing on it, makes me think this is where the liquid goes.
That is possible.
And this might be the compressor over here.
Okay.
And there's the hose coming from there. I don't know. But Ray, good luck on that one.
Yeah.
Our car of the week is actually the truck of the week.
Maybe you could drive that to Washington, D.C. and spray the entire place down. And
he goes, it runs.
It was exterminate.
Yeah. It runs like just out of the showroom.
Yeah,
I doubt that, but okay. Rain is little things, and I love that he has hair in this picture. I think that's a wig. I had a 4.4 CR. Now a CR, if you don't know what a CR is, it's actually an AG. It's an auto grade.
Oh, okay.
But they do a condition report, and they have the score. It's kind of a standardized throughout all auctions.
And it's out of 5.
It's a 0 to 5.
Okay.
So a 4.4 is very strong. Over a 4 is strong.
Okay.
A 3 is good, but if you get some dealers won't buy anything under a 4. So that's a good deal for 12.5.
At a 4.4.
Yeah. For end of 2015.
Very
and you get all
nice.
that bonus. You could always just put that other stuff on a on Craigslist and sell it. Somebody might want the interior stuff and the rack, because it's got a rack on top as well.
Nice.
Not a rack on tour. So
it's good for your ladder.
Any other questions, anybody?
Oh, we haven't had any questions. That's right.
I don't have anything else to talk about.
Well, I've got a couple things we can talk about.
Well, bring it on. I'm going to have a sip of my tea while you're doing that.
It's not going to be winterizing your vehicle.
Oh, thank God. Is it springerizing your vehicle? That's what you say. Be good to yourself and each other. That's springerizing.
Springerizing?
Jerry springerizing.
Oh, there you go. Well, I thought we'd do a couple things.
All right.
I thought we'd do an old school.
Okay.
We don't have to do that now.
Oh, yes, we have an old school. Good.
But we're going to do an old school, and we'll get into that.
We'll talk about gas prices.
Well, we can certainly talk about gas prices. Absolutely. But one of the things that I think this came up just recently. I got a phone call on referral from a friend locally that said this person had been talking about buying another car, and they were hoping to be able to go to this dealer and buy this particular car.
All right.
And they wanted to know how to best approach the dealer when you know the car you want to buy.
I know a great trick.
Okay, bring it.
Here's my trick. Let's say you want, this is a used car or a new car?
It is a pre-owned vehicle.
Pre-owned car, so it's not like you can order it.
Right.
So they've got, let's just say it's a, for lack of a better word, it's a black 4-door Honda Civic.
And that's the one you want.
That's the one you want.
You're okay. You're on the right track.
So you go on their website and you find a car as opposite of that as possible.
A white
2-door.
2-door Honda
pickup.
Civic.
No, not even a Honda.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
like a Chevy Cavalier. You go and you work on that car. That's the one you want.
And that is a higher or lower priced vehicle?
Lower price.
There you go.
You start with a lower price.
There you go.
And you go to the dealership. That's the one you want.
Yep.
And then you get them to flip you into the one you don't want.
Yes. Unknowingly.
Yeah. And you're like, I mean, I really didn't want 4-door. I really wanted a 2-door.
Yep.
And I really didn't want black. I hate black cars. Well, I mean, if you can make a crazy deal, maybe, but this is the one I want. And I only want to pay this for. Like you're solid on this car and you go for that car. It also helps if you know their stock number system.
Yes.
And if the car's been there longer, which you can tell on some websites how long cars have been there.
You're spot on.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
You do the old switcheroo.
So she found the car, and this was the thing that triggered me, the car of my dreams at this dealership. And to which I said, no, don't even use that phrase. What you want to do is go to that dealer and look at a completely different version of that car.
Right.
And then slowly work your way back to your car without them knowing that's the car you really want.
Right. Make them think they sold you a car that you didn't come in on, because they'll be bragging, oh my God, I got this lady to buy this car.
Exactly.
She didn't even want it.
Exactly.
And then you get a discount because you're going to buy the car you don't want.
Right. So if you're looking for a specific car, and if you have found that specific car and you want that one, don't let anybody in the selling community around that vehicle know that that's the vehicle that you want.
Yeah.
Work another thing around the area and then work your way around to that particular car.
Yeah. And I did that. Like Polestar reached out to me about the 3. And I really do want the 3. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But, and I need to know when that $7,500 is going to go away, because that's a big reason why.
I don't think it'll go away.
It's going to go away.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's going to executive order it away.
All right. We're going to bet lunch.
All right. When, though? I mean, it goes away in 2034 for sure. So I'm going to win by then.
I will say it will not go away during his administration.
Lunch.
Okay. All right.
Proof. All right. I think it will.
All right. Let's check if there are any more comments.
Is it illegal to sell a rack on Craigslist? Or it's illegal? Well, it's illegal to sell crack.
A crack.
A crack. And it's illegal to sell some racks.
It's a roof rack. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Jake. And by the way, goodness gracious, get over to Jake's and get a breakfast sandwich. The last one I had, I was unbelievable. It was a whole other level of
I had the
culinary experience.
I had the buffalo chicken salad sandwich yesterday.
Did you? Was it good?
He offered to put it on a warm bun and warm it up, and then he had customers. I'm like, I'm leaving because I want to. Yeah, I still haven't had a Skona. I haven't had the. I've been really good with my sugar. I'm
good for you.
I mean, I'm up a little over my lowest that I was.
Were you 204?
207.8.
Good for you.
When we shot the comedy special.
Yeah.
Right now I'm about 215. Presidential, as I like to say.
You're president.
6'3", 215.
Very good.
Which is what the president says. Speaking of comedy, real quick, new comedy show coming up. That takes you right to my website because we have new coasters. I'm not going to reveal the new coaster. Here's the old coaster. On the other side of this is the new coaster that will be revealed on Saturday, 1 week from tonight. Adam will be there. You'll be there.
I will be there.
We have the Madison Diner afterwards.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, good.
We did get the Madison Diner again.
Excellent.
So,
all right, I'll tell
Caroline. 4
Caroline.
fantastic comedians.
Yeah. All right, we'll definitely plan to do the after.
Ricky Armani, Jess Anderson.
Is he going to wear an Armani suit?
Yes.
You knew that was coming. All right.
I can't believe Phil Burton. And Joseph Rogers. So we've got Kitsap people, Seattle people.
Excellent.
It's going to be a fun show.
Oh,
and we're also going to announce the next 2 shows.
Oh, okay.
We have one in April that's going to be in the studio, not in the theater. And we've got a really cool concept for that. We'll announce that. And we also will announce a big headliner coming in May.
Excellent. You're going to be in demand because you've got the comedy stuff picking up and the folks at Cox are really starting to.
I'm busy at work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to go down to Portland, but
the film festival.
The film festival.
Yeah.
The sitcom is an official selection and a nominated film.
Yes, we're
nominated for best comedy series episode.
Pilot.
Just episode.
Oh.
Because it's a pilot.
Yeah,
it's an
okay.
episode. And the Portland Comedy Film Festival, which is March 23rd. All day passes are $50. There's still, I think, last time I checked the website, 41 left. So if you want to come, ours plays around 6:45 that evening. It's a Sunday. We're playing a caravan down. We might take the train.
Oh.
And I might, because I have to go to Phoenix the following week, so I might fly out of Portland instead of coming back up here.
We'll discuss that.
But if you want to come, I mean, we could obviously, anybody that wants to come, we have Portland area people, if you guys want to come down, please do. Adam will be at the theater next Saturday. He already got his front and center seat.
Excellent.
I have to make sure the microphones are not positioned in the same place because I don't know if I shared it with Adam or not, but all we heard on one of the microphones was Adam. Yes, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
We'll be playing at the Portland Comedy Film Festival,
where we are nominated for Best Comedy.
So I've got a question. So we've got Robert Moss.
Yes.
And Bob Moss.
Yes.
Are these the same people?
No one will ever know.
Okay. I just want to make sure because we have a rabbi, it looks like.
Rabbi Bob Moss.
And then you have
Rabbi Robert Moss.
And then you have
Bob Moss,
who looks kind of like he works for Apple.
Yeah.
Looks a little like Tim Apple.
There you go.
Yes, It's a Lot will be premiering the first festival, the first public appearance. We've done private screenings. We've done public screenings, but they're invite only.
Right.
Those are, and this is the final, the Pittsburgh cut, as I call it.
Yeah.
That we will be showing. We're up for a couple other festivals too. Let's hear what Ray Pepper has to say. And don't forget this beautiful Pacific Northwest Day.
Come to
affordable used cars and trucks in Bremerton. 1 free Burger King Whopper Jr. across the street just for mentioning CarYada restrictions apply. Si habla español. Thank you, Ray. I remember when we did the very original show that I had.
The comedy stylings of Ray Pepper once again.
The very original show, which was called Car Talk. No, Car Calls.
Car Calls?
Car Calls.
Okay.
Because there was another show called House Calls that did real estate show on
Okay.
97.1, the FM talk station.
Yeah.
And that was Merrill Schindler, my impression of the restaurant guy. Merrill Schindler, 97.1, the FM talk station. Who might have been a relative of mine, it turns out.
Never know.
We had Schindlers in our family.
So when were you doing this? In the 90s?
2007.
Because I did a radio show, actually syndicated, in the 90s.
What?
Yeah, Showroom News. It was part of Music Memories syndicated radio for AM radio syndication nationwide. And
how am I just finding this out now?
I just keep forgetting to tell you.
All right.
Yeah. And anyway, that was a lot of fun. We recorded all of the sessions in the studio and then put it together in a bundle and sent it out.
I had we had a syndicated show called the TV Minute that an old friend of mine and I did, and it was basically, here's what's on TV this week, or here's what's on TV tonight. And we put it up for free, and I think we're at our peak, we're on like 5 or 6 stations across the country, and it was just it never grew. It could have been a really good thing. But anyway, so 97.1 was the FM talk station that used to be Howard Stern. And then it was Adam Carolla in the mornings, Tom Likas in the afternoons. Tom Likas. Likas 101.
Yeah.
And then in the weekends, it was all brokered shows. So they had the film freak guy, they had the food guy. They weren't brokered. Those shows were kind of part of they found sponsors. And I wanted our show to be like that. Felix Chevrolet sponsored us.
Yeah.
And we came in, this is where 147 came from. Was Chris Edling, who was going to be our new producer. James Harris was my co-host. He was another comic who knew nothing about cars. And it made it so much funnier because
he knew nothing
about cars. And it's like, why is he on the show? Because he knows nothing about cars.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
We need a third person on our show to ask the questions. Wait, what is that?
That's when we had John Hibbs.
John was great.
When we did Clutch Radio in Seattle and CBS Radio.
With Sterling Moss.
Yes. And that only happened because John Hibbs gave the right answer.
That's right. We did not.
He wasn't supposed to give the right answer.
He
it was like
the right answer.
And after he did it, he went like this.
And I had to write on the fly.
And you had to ad lib. Anyway, so we did this show on the weekends, and I kind of pitched it to Felix Chevrolet that, hey, why don't we do a show? And this is kind of what TikTok is doing now, where everything's behind the scenes. Like, we'll tell everybody what the secrets are to the car business. We'll be your friend in the car business.
Don't say TikTok. We'll get censored.
No, you can say TikTok. It's back in the App Store. You know, there were people selling phones for thousands of dollars because they had TikTok pre-installed.
Wow.
And now it's back in the App Store. So you can get it. But the funny thing was the ratings book, because back then they still did the old manual handwritten ratings books.
Yeah.
The first ratings book we were in for the whole 13 weeks, we were the #1 most listened to show on the weekends.
In LA?
On that station.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not in LA. We were #1. You could play with the
yeah.
We were #1 in LA.
Yeah.
In men 35 to 54 making over $75,000 a year with English as their first language.
So there were 14 people.
It's all, yeah, you can see the sample and you can just play with the numbers until you're #1. So you found, and so you get rid of music because all the talk stations, and we found demographic. We were #1, but at the actual station we had the most listened to show.
Goodness. You should be in government.
The first weekend.
You can manipulate it.
No. All right, we have enough time to do old school.
Do we? This is okay.
6
Let's give it
minutes
a
is
roll.
enough, isn't it?
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe did I go too long?
Audio Jungle.
All right, it's time to go old school. And today in old school, we're going to go back to the 60s because it is one of my favorite periods in automotive design.
All right.
And this is a car, we may have talked about this before, but I'm going to get specialized with this particular car. That is the 1968 Dodge Charger. Now, we've talked about the Charger before, and many of you know the 68 Dodge Charger. Fantastic design. But the one we're going to talk about is called the Charger Daytona. So that takes you to 1969.
Well, you said 68.
I did, but the Charger, the 1968 Dodge Charger was the new body design, designed by young Art Center student Richard Sias, who graduated in the early 60s and then went on to work at Chrysler and penned the 1968 Dodge Charger. That in itself is a separate story, an amazing story of how that car got designed and built, because management did not want that car to go forward. So the 68 Dodge Charger was put together, and it became an iconic muscle car for Chrysler.
This is the one you're talking about.
This is the one we're talking about. This is the 1969. Now, the Charger Daytona was the sister car to the Roadrunner Superbird. So most people are familiar with the Superbird.
Right.
The biggest feature of this car is the enormous rear wing on the back of the car. This was an aerodynamic stabilizer, which was used in NASCAR racing. So it had the front aerodynamically designed.
Can we stop and look at this guy for a second?
Sure.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's like, I'm going to put. And I don't know why Louis C.K. is right there. All right.
So it had an aerodynamic front end. So instead of the blunt flat grille, it had pop-up headlights. It had fender scoops that would let the hot air out, so the brakes would stay cool. And they came with 440 cubic inch engines and Hemi engines.
Wow.
So you could get the 426 Hemi engine. And these cars in the 1960s, 69 and early 70s, they were going 200 miles an hour on the NASCAR track. 200 miles an hour. And they were so fast and so capable that NASCAR outlawed them. Now, in order to get into NASCAR racing in this division, Chrysler had to build a minimum of 500 cars in order to prove that it was a production car. So they built a little more than 500 of these cars. And of course, the majority of them went racing. But then when they put them out into the dealerships to sell them, people thought they were just outrageous. So they sat on the dealer lots, and people eventually, instead of paying $4,000 or $5,000 for them, were able to buy them for $2,500, $2,800, $3,000. Wow. And these cars today, if you find a Hemi powered one, that's an original Hemi engine factory car, particularly a 4-speed, you're going to pay upwards of $500,000 for it. A standard 440, which they made more of, a 440 automatic will be closer to $200,000, and you will absolutely have one of the most eye-catching vehicles in your neighborhood. A NASCAR, sanctioned NASCAR with NASCAR racing history, Dodge Daytona would also probably be high up there in the value as well. Now, many people ask, why is the rear wing so tall? And lots of people think it's that tall because it had greater aerodynamic force.
Right.
That is not the reason why. The reason it's that tall is because if it isn't that tall, you can't open the trunk all the way.
Seriously?
That's the only reason why.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the trunk itself had to, Daytona 500, 1970. Absolutely.
This car ran in the 500.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. These cars, they were literally, you can watch old footage of them racing, and they're way ahead of everybody else.
This guy had 3 in his driveway.
Oh, there you
Neighbor
go.
down the road. You had a great neighborhood, Dan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Absolutely.
There's a show called Hoovie's Garage with Tyler Hoover.
Yeah.
And he bought one of the Plymouth Superbirds.
There you go.
And it turned out it had been totaled, and it had been repaired and upgraded. And I think he bought it at Barrett Jackson. Oh no, he bought it on Bring a Trailer, I think, and then he sold it at Barrett Jackson. And he lost a fortune. Yeah, because that's what happens when you have modified
Well, you have
ones.
to be careful what you're buying. Check them very carefully. If you're looking for a car like this, Adam doesn't want to talk about gas prices.
Yeah.
So the Dodge Daytona, by the way, I had a Daytona, 8 miles to the gallon is what I got when I was tracking it.
Wow.
8 miles to the gallon. Yeah. Now this was around town. This is taking, jaunts up to 70 miles an hour. 8 miles to the gallon.
That's the old one where you check the oil. and check the. Oh no, that's the opposite. When it gets good gas mileage, you check the gas and fill the oil. I had a car like that.
It had a 20-gallon tank. I would fill that tank
Twice a day.
Sometimes because Carolyn and I drove it up to Canada for a car show, and crossing the border in that car was a whole other story. But we had to fill it up 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. That's like having to charge your car.
Because it's almost like an electric
like for
car.
the Portland trip.
Range on that car was about 200. If you did on the highway, you could get 250 miles on it. Yeah.
When we go to Portland, I thought of, okay, I could drive my car, but I'd have to charge probably on the way back.
Yeah.
I can go 270 miles or so.
Yeah, you'd have to.
So I can probably get there.
You could get there, no problem.
And there are high-speed charging stations all over Portland.
Yeah. But
then I thought, well, if we took the train, we could get some content. It'd be funny to be on the train. Scott will bring his camera. We could shoot some stuff.
Yeah.
Some behind the scenes for future things. But with me potentially leaving the next day to go to Phoenix, and there's no late night train back. That sucks too. Then I thought maybe I'll rent a car. I've got a bunch of points with Hertz. I get a free rental.
There you go.
So we could all light rail to the airport, jump in a rental, and drive down. So if you want to go, let me know. If Tony is going to make an appearance. We have no budget to buy. Like we had to buy the tickets for ourselves too. Like they don't give you free tickets. Like you're in the festival.
That's something.
No free tickets.
That's all right. That's all right.
I know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got the bumper up for the 22nd.
Yep.
And you'll buy your tickets.
And this is the back of it.
Yep.
I won't share. I'll just there's a little hint. It's black. That's all I'm going to show.
There you go.
There you go. That barcode will take you right to my website where you can get the link to the tickets, or just go to bpatix.com.
There you go.
And on my website is also a link to the tickets for the film festival. All right. That's all. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you, I guess, next week before the comedy show. We'll do
next week we'll definitely have a show.
Maybe a driving show.
Oh, we could do that. If it's dry enough, we could take out the Volkswagen.
Maybe.
All right.
Well, that was fun. Bye, everybody.
See you next time.